not sure where everybody is. We had like 20 something people RSVP, so usually we would get about 10 at least. But maybe we can wait a few more minutes, but I'm not sure. I want to check the links and make sure that they were correct.
Yeah, let's wait for a few more minutes.
Yeah. I just put it to the Discord group as well so that people would see it there. So we have about 9 now, Himanshu. It's up to you if you wanna. Do you want to wait a little longer? Do you want to? What are your thoughts?
Just wait for a couple more minutes. I've just
Sure.
messaged Krishnesh also.
Okay. So maybe I'll just do a quick intro to the Freethinker Institute, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
For those that are new to it, the Freethinker Institute is a nonprofit that I founded. And basically, me, Himanshu, and Dr. Krishnesh are kind of leading off the teaching early on. And really the goal of the organization is focused on both personal and professional development, really just teaching things that are useful in people's lives and help create practical application that help us live our best life. And so if anyone has questions about the Freethinker Institute, let me know. I'm happy to answer questions. I'll put a link to the Discord. Like we have an online community where we stay in touch with each other in between these Saturday meetings. We meet every Saturday with a different event at noon Eastern time. And then the Discord community, we can stay in touch throughout the week. I just put a link to that. So feel free to join that and introduce yourself. And yeah, if people have any questions, I'm happy to answer them while we're waiting for a few more people to attend, unless Himanshu is ready, in which case we can get started. You're expecting Dr. Krishnesh to join, right?
Yeah, I messaged him. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so Dwight asked whether or not Freethinkers equals the Socrates group. So I've been hosting discussion groups through Socrates Cafe, which is my meetup group. I inherited it like 5 years ago, and I've been hosting meetups for most of the last 5 years up until Corona came, and we were always meeting in person. And then basically my philosophical efforts, which has been largely devoted to conversations and writing. I write a fair amount as well. Have kind of culminated into the creation of the Freethinker Institute. So there's a tangential sort of relationship in that that is my meetup group and it's my nonprofit, but they're sort of independent things that complement each other and advertise for each other. But anyone interested in either one, I'm happy to get involved if people want to. My ideal is that we sort of combine the two, and people that want to teach about specific topics that want to be able to advertise to our groups, like I'm happy to have them do that, as long as we maintain that the only rule in the Freethinker Institute is that everyone has to be polite, and as long as we maintain an air of politeness in everything we do, I'm happy to have people teach about whatever they feel like would be of interest to the audience. But technically, the Freethinker Institute is a little different than Socrates Cafe. Socrates Cafe was the meetup group that started me down philosophical discussion groups in person, and then the Freethinker Institute kind of came out of that and sort of combined my business is a pickup and delivery and ordering food from restaurants business and earning a lot of free food business, and that basically I used to teach people professional development skills my business. And I kind of combined that with the Freethinker Institute and said, I'll do a nonprofit that teaches personal and professional development. So that's a little bit more of a history. Yeah, I'm happy to send a link to Socrates Cafe, the meetup group. Other people do advertise occasionally there, although mostly it's us, it's the Freethinker Institute sessions that are there, but I'll link that as well.
Garrett, I can get started in the interest of time. So thank you everybody for joining. We'll discuss how to get good sleep. Sleep is an important element in our life, and what I'll do through this talk is just lay out some very, very simple lifestyle changes and health tips. Before we start, I want to just put a note that I'm not a doctor. I've not conducted scientific research on techniques that I'm going to tell you. These techniques are primarily from Yoga and Ayurveda that have been practiced for thousands of years. You can consult your own doctor and yoga or Ayurveda teacher for any further questions. And if you are a medical researcher, feel free to research on any technique I'm going to discuss today in the talk. So just a little bit about myself. I'm a designer by profession. I started out in my career as a cartoonist and a painter in my high school years. I became a yogi, got interested in yoga and, spent a lot of time with a lot of yogis in India. And, after a while, I felt that, I need to make some money, which got me into advertising. And through advertising, I made my way into experience design as I saw the internet, presenting an opportunity in user experience design. And along the way, I did try some entrepreneurial ventures. But, after, being in the business for many years and having seen a lot of ups and downs, turmoils, I felt that I need to rediscover my roots. And, as Rumi says, a wound opens light to come in. So, the wounds I had during my professional years allowed me to go back into my roots and combine meditation, yoga, inner bliss, ways of finding inner bliss into my own profession. And, I joined design too because it made me happy. And, I decided that, joy is something that everybody seeks in this world. We look for inner joy. When we work with our clients, we try to make them happy. When we work with our teams, we try to, find happiness in teamwork. When we produce something, the end customer also experiences the same joy that we have put into our product. So this is my my life's mission and work. So you can look up my work and my philosophy on joyful.design on the online. So let's get right into sleep. And it is said that quality of our sleep defines our health. If somebody is healthy, they have a good sleep. If somebody is unhealthy, they will have a sleep disruption. And sleep helps our brain reorganize itself, create neural pathways. This is scientific definition. But from a yoga point of view, I want to propose certain techniques that could convert sleep into meditation, and that's called Yoga Nidra. Because we spend about 1/3 of our lifetime sleeping. And if we can make use of that 1/3 of our time into meditation, then we don't have to spend too much time in our wakeful stage trying to meditate, our sleep can be converted into meditation, and that will help us become better in terms of health, both mental and physical, and have, we can be more, we can produce more output in our profession. There is a scientific definition of sleep, but at the same time, there are yoga exercises that can help you reduce sleep. So in this talk, we are going to talk about those yoga exercises that can that impact the brain and not only improve the quality of sleep, but also reduce the quality of sleep, and we can still feel refreshed after we have very small quantity of sleep. So let's look at differences between relaxation, sleep, and meditation. Relaxation in a wakeful state is a conscious or a semi-conscious rest. In sleep, we are in an altered state of conscious mind, and that is useful for healing and relaxation, and process unresolved emotions through dreams. However, meditation, on the other hand, is a state beyond the reach of rational mind into the conscious awareness. And meditation changes the person. It's the person's attitude, focus, and wisdom changes after an experience of meditation. The kind of meditation we are all familiar with is mindfulness meditation, which I feel is a very, primary step of meditation. It's like the portico for the meditation, or the driveway towards meditation. But meditation is much more beyond the mindfulness that we all know about. So turning sleep into meditation, as we talked about, I know we enjoy sleep because our mind is at rest and quiet. In sleep, we feel that we don't exist because identities are basically in the mind. Gender, religion, money, who we are generally exist in the mind. And when the mind is at rest, they don't exist. Anything we feel is our identity is not carried into the mind either, carried into the sleep either. So, but at the same time, when we are asleep, there is some kind of awareness. We are still aware. We are aware. There are dream sequences, and there is some awareness, and that is the consciousness that can exist without the mind and without the body. And meditation can help experience that consciousness. There are some techniques where you can become more aware, and through the course of the talk, I'll talk about those techniques. And one is just synchronizing your breath with some kind of sound, and it could be Om, or it could be any other kind of repetitive sound that can help you not only fall asleep but become more aware, and that's a mindfulness technique. Then there is a debate about how much sleep do we typically need, and what is oversleeping and what's lack of sleep. And science talks about oversleep as a problematic lack of sleep, and it can cause diabetes, muscle degeneration, obesity, and whatnot. And likewise, lack of sleep could cause let me just see if I'm sharing my screen.
You are sharing your screen.
Okay, I am sharing. Okay. Yeah. So lack of sleep could weaken immune system, cancer growth, cause cancer growth, anxiety, depression. So we need the right amount of sleep. And that is something that our body can tell us what is the right amount of sleep. And the right amount of sleep is when we wake up completely rejuvenated, refreshed. There is no fatigue. So let's get into the tips to sleep better. The first and foremost thing about sleep is synchronizing our body with the rhythm of nature, because nature influences our emotions, actions, and sleep patterns. For example, during the morning, we typically experience high energy levels. So if we want to study something, learn something, memorize something, morning time is the best time. If we have to think about something deeply, a lot of ideas come during the morning hours. Even for meditation, morning is the best time. So, waking up early and sleeping early is something that's recommended by yoga. Um, and waking and sleeping at the same time every day. Don't disturb your sleep pattern, or don't stagger your sleep time and wake time. Try to form some kind of a discipline around the time you sleep and the time you wake up every morning, so that the body knows when to sleep and when to wake up. There are certain exercises in yoga that helps improve our sleep pattern. And these are exercises which allow the blood to flow towards our pineal gland that secretes melatonin that allows us to sleep. So, as long as the head is turned, in a downward um, direction compared to the rest of the body, there will be blood flow towards the brain. And there are many exercises that you can work with in yoga, and that will allow you to have better brain health and also sleep pattern. The third eye is also, within that area, within between the eyes near the pineal gland. So these exercises also help in meditation. So next thing, one of the things that people struggle with in sleep is, they have a disruptive day. There is a lot of toxicity during the day, whether it's with the coworkers, with family, with a lot of tensions about money, work, life, illness, and all, everything that, makes us stressed out. And all these negative thoughts somehow find their way into our dreams, and we experience bad dreams. So even if we sleep at the right time and wake up at the right time, if we have a bad dream, it's not considered a good sleep. So, it's not what we eat that kills us, it's what eats us inside that is also important. So finding ways in which we can be more positive during the day will definitely help get good sleep. And there are techniques that we'll discuss through the course of our talk. So, before you sleep, the advice Ayurveda gives is to have dinner a couple of hours before sleep. Give some digestion to happen before going to sleep. And lunch should be the biggest meal of the day, and dinner should be light and easy for the stomach. And if you can, avoid stimulants like alcohol, nicotine, or coffee before going to bed. Alcohol, people try to, drink wine before going to bed, and alcohol may initially seem to help, but over a period of time, it stimulates liver, causing restlessness of the mind. And there have been previous talks here on this platform about how alcohol and nicotine can damage the brain. And we have seen the brain scans as well. There are certain tips that Ayurveda prescribes how to eat. Simple tips: don't eat standing up. This is a fast food world, and people typically eat while walking, while standing up. If you can, just sit down, be quiet, and stay calm while eating. And if possible, meditate for a few minutes before eating, so that you can focus on the food. There is this yoga posture that you can do after you have had your meal or dinner. And, just for a few minutes, if you can sit in this posture, it will allow for better digestion. After the meal, if you want to get up slowly from the chair, or if you are, whichever, wherever you are sitting, so just, don't rush and start your next work or chore after you have eaten your meal. Get up slowly, because during the meal, 7 to 8 times blood goes into our gut. So give rest to the gut. And another thing to help improve digestion, sleep, and general body health is to fast once in a while, every few weeks. It gives rest to the stomach. There is this technique in Ayurveda where after having the meal, we typically wash our hands. And after washing the hands, if you take that wet hand and rub it on your stomach, on your belly, it will help improve your digestion. The cold touch somehow kindles the fire within the belly to allow for better digestion to happen. It's like, when there is a fire burning, you sprinkle some water on the fire burns more. So it's a similar kind of action. Then, just before you eat, if you can drink maybe a sip of water, not more than a sip, just a sip of water, it will open the esophagus before the meals. A lot of people have choking problems, during the meals. The body is not ready to have the meal, and they start having the meal. So just drink a little bit of water before it. And, there is a tradition in India where before the meal, people focus on the meal. They pause, they meditate a little bit, maybe they chant something, allow there are these techniques that have been combined with spirituality, but there is a health benefit to just pausing before the meal. And sometimes people say their prayers. So all that helps in savoring the food. It waters our mouth with the right juices, and the mind can focus on the act of eating. Don't take eating lightly, because eating impacts a lot of things. Eating impacts not just the body, it impacts the mind. How we think is based on what we eat and how we eat. So eat healthy and fresh, it's no brainer. However, if you can eat live food, like, uncooked food, with vegetarian food, basically vegetables, sprouts, nuts, that has, that consumes less energy from our stomach, and it's good for digestion. If you eat stale food, kept in the refrigerator for many days, it will make you feel sleepy and lethargic. So try to avoid that. Eat with your hands if possible. We are so used to eating with spoon and fork. If your hands are clean, it's much more reliable, because you never know, even if the spoon and fork are cleaned in the dishwasher, where have they been kept after that in a restaurant? Were they kept on the floor? Were they kept on the sink, which was unclean? Who held them by the hand to pick it up and put it in your plate? You don't know all those things. So trust yourself. As long as your hands are clean, it's much more reliable. From a energy point of view, each of the fingers in our hand represent 5 elements of nature. So when we are holding our food in the hand, we are combining these 5 elements of nature, and then that energy goes into the food when we eat. And we are more conscious when the food touches our skin, and that touch of the skin allows our body to react to the food much better. Otherwise, when we are just gulping the food directly through the spoon, the interaction with the food is very minimal. So allow the skin, the emotions, the mind, all of it to completely align with the food. Dark fruits and vegetables have more antioxidants. Everybody knows that, just eat them a little more. Foods that help sleep better are almonds. They are a source of melatonin: almonds, walnut, kiwis, white rice, milk, spices, cinnamon, fenugreek, cardamom, honey, ginger, nutmeg, black pepper, and coconut milk. They all have something that will help you in sleep. And then there is a list of what not to eat before you go to sleep, and yogurt is one. It increases the mucus content in the body and blocks our nasal passage. So try to avoid yogurt before you go to sleep. Reduce the salt content and the sugar content as well. Salt increases the water retention, and sugar also is also not good. If you have to eat sugar, try to use honey instead. It reduces mucus and aids in weight loss.
Himanshu, just a quick question. There are a few questions in the chat. Do you want me to jump in the middle, or do you want to answer those at the end?
Let's answer in the end.
Okay.
Another thing to note is, if you want to drink warm water, that would be very helpful compared to cold water or ice cold water. Warm water helps in digestion. It cleans the food canal, the intestines. And if you are trying to lose your weight, if you can drink warm water throughout the day, that will definitely help you reduce the weight, because weight gain is directly related to how good your digestion is. So if you can improve your digestion, every day you will actually start losing your weight just through warm water. And if you and that will also reduce your hunger. And if you feel hungry and you're trying to fast, or you want to cut down your diet, just add a little bit of honey, warm water, and that, so it will replenish you and you won't feel hungry. So we are so used to the alarm bell every morning, and we wake up to the sound of alarm bell. But the waking ritual has to be a gradual and natural process. It should make our mind feel happy. Our emotions should be at a heightened level of joyfulness. And when the alarm bell rings, we wake up all of a sudden. And that's not good for our mind, our body. So if you can have a fixed time to sleep and to wake up every day, then you won't have the need for an alarm clock. And when you wake up, if you can rub your hands vigorously, make them a little warm, and then put them over your eyes, and in the darkness of your palms, slowly open your eyes so that your pupils get adjusted to the bright light after your sleep. And that will help you improve the eyesight. The eyesight will not degrade over a period of time so fast. And also, after doing that, just rub your hands over your face, because when you rub your hands, it generates certain energy from your hands. Our 5 fingers represent the 5 elements of nature. The tip of the fingers actually allow some energy to go from the body. So when you are rubbing them, you are generating a lot of energy. The charge that you have generated is now transferred to the skin cells of the face. And it is said in the Ayurveda that when you do this small action, it improves the skin condition of your face. The onset of wrinkles can be delayed when you do this. You might have heard this many times, do not face feet towards south, and it has to do with the earth's magnetic pull towards the north. So people in the northern hemisphere should not face their feet towards the south, and try to lie on your back and not on the stomach. Next thing is, do not overheat the body, through aggressive actions like running, or any kind of sweaty actions, and then immediately go to sleep. Allow the body to relax before you go to sleep. If you want, you can try swimming, or just dip your feet in the water to cool them before you sleep. Our feet, according to Ayurveda science, represent fire. So when you put your feet into water, your body becomes calm. And that change in temperature between the head and the feet will help you relax and become sleepy sooner. A light walk after dinner is also good for digestion, but don't have brisk walk or run after your meals. Just walk a little bit, and that will help you with the digestion. You can consider a shower before bed. Bath purifies body beyond the skin. It helps relax the nervous system, releases tension, and helps quieten the mind. And this is one reason why some people get a lot of ideas while taking a shower, because our mind is in a state of calm. Plus, we are with ourselves. So try that, and that will help. This is a beauty tip, as well as a tip to sleep well. There are two kinds of sandalwood that you would find: a white sandalwood and a red sandalwood. If you can take the white sandalwood, slightly expensive than the red sandalwood, and you can even find powdered sandalwood, or you can find a wood piece of this. Just rub it on some stone or something with some water drops and make a paste. And apply that paste on your face like a face mask before you sleep. The fragrance of sandalwood would allow you to sleep and have a good quality sleep. And applying it on the face will actually help remove any problems on the skin. It will make the skin cells healthy. And if it's women searching for face mask and applying a lot of artificial chemicals should try this. And this is a very natural formula. You don't have to spend a lot of money buying those face masks. Just apply some sandalwood paste, and you can actually have much better benefits than anything that you find in any store for a higher price. This is another tip, and it's also useful for people with arthritis or any injury that they have in their life or in the near term. Just boil a teaspoon of turmeric in a cup of milk and drink before bed. So adding a quarter spoon of cardamom, nutmeg powder, and ghee in this milk, ghee is clarified butter, will actually make it more soothing if you want to. And if you don't like to drink milk, you can even use warm water. That is also fine. It will reduce inflammation in the body, help the liver detoxify itself. It will boost the immune system and improve the digestive system. This is something for people with chronic sleep problems. And even people who don't have any problems, once in a while, it's really good to do this. So there is this thing called ghee. It's a butter. It's called clarified butter. It helps cure sleep problems, snoring, and also improves our brain health. It will sharpen the memory, but something to remember is you need to buy this ghee from the cow, Bos Indicus, not any other cow. And this cow produces A2 milk. And the process of creating this clarified butter is to convert milk into yogurt. And then yogurt is churned to create butter. And then the butter is heated. And when the butter is heated, it becomes more solid. and that is what ghee is. This particular brand, Patanjali ghee, you can find it on Amazon, is made from the Bos Indicus cow. So you can buy this online or in an Indian grocery store, and just put 1 drop each in the nostrils before sleep. So it's kind of an aromatherapy where the drop of ghee has a peculiar smell that goes all the way to the brain and helps you become calm and feel sleepy. So this is one technique which does not require any expenditure. This is something for free. All you have to do, and you can try it, experiment it on yourself, and you'll find it amazing. Basically, just breathe through your left nostril. So with your thumb, close your right nostril and just breathe through your left nostril. You'll start feeling lethargic. And after a while, you'll want to just sleep. On the other hand, if you are feeling very lethargic and you want to focus on your work, just close your left nostril and breathe through your right nostril, and you'll feel very active and alert. So if you are a student and you have to go for an exam, you are preparing for an exam, or you are an athlete, you are trying to run a race and you want to gather as much energy as you want, be more alert, or you want to play a sport, activate your right nostril. You'll become more active. If you want to become more passive, activate your left nostril and you'll become very passive. If you don't want to even do that, just lie down, keep your left nostril up. And when you keep your left nostril up while lying down on the side, automatically you'll feel lethargic and you'll sleep. Very, very simple tip. Next technique is basically breathing through the nose and not breathing through the mouth. A lot of us try to breathe through the mouth or breathe through mouth and nose. We have this difficulty in breathing. So improving the breathing pattern is very, very important. And when the tongue rests on the roof of the mouth and we breathe through our nose, it helps sleep. It helps with emotional function, digestion, immunity, and cognitive functions. Breathing through the nose also widens airway, calms us, helps sleep, increase intake of nitrous oxide and carbon dioxide, and more oxygen to the brain and the body. So, there are various techniques to improve this. And one of the technique to align the tongue is, teaching the babies, when the baby is born, try to breastfeed the baby as much as possible, because the action of breastfeeding allows the baby to suck using the tongue, and the tongue touches the palate of the mouth, and that strengthens the muscles of the tongue, and also the continuous action makes the baby continue that action through the lifetime. Some doctors even prescribe speaking the word, the alphabet L. The more you say L, the tongue touches the palate of the mouth, and you develop the habit of touching the palate. When the tongue is in the right position, it touches the palate of the mouth. It also activates or stimulates the vagus nerve. And by doing this action, teeth grinding, bed wetting, nightmares, and other disruptions in sleep can be lowered in kids. It also, adjusting the tongue improves our bite, and sleep apnea and snoring can be prevented as we become adults, if we can fix the position of tongue. There is a small tip, doctors advise, breathing in the paper bag during panic attack. And that is, something that people do because you can breathe more carbon dioxide. And by breathing through the nose, as we said in the previous slide, you have a bigger intake of carbon dioxide. So that also helps sleeping. breastfeeding babies, I think we've talked about this. Yeah. So chanting before sleeping is also very helpful. So if you don't know any chant, all you do is just lie down on the bed, and with every breath, just remember, and say to yourself, I am calm and still. I am calm and still. Or just say, I am not the body nor the mind. I am not the body nor the mind. Each breath relaxes me more. Or stillness of the body makes my mind calm. So by constantly repeating to yourself, your body will become very restful. Or just say the word Om, which is very short, sweet, and it synchronizes the frequency of the universe. So it's a primordial sound that scientists have also reaffirmed that it is the sound that emanates from everything and anything that exists in the universe. So by synchronizing with that sound with every breath, you will automatically attain a peaceful body and mind. So let's come to this notorious fruit, banana. We just eat the inside of the banana, the soft portion, but we don't really know how much valuable the peel of the banana is. And if you can clean the banana, you can actually eat the peel. You should actually eat the peel. And so if you boil the banana peel in water and drink that water before going to sleep, if you have acute sleeping issues, for many years you have not been able to sleep well, try drinking this water, boiled water with banana peel, and it will have miraculous effect. So this will elevate symptoms of insomnia, and there is also a lot of potassium in banana. If you have pimples on your face, you can take the inner peel of the banana peel and put it over your pimples, and then see after a few hours or overnight, after night, see if it has effects on the pimple. And this is a very, very simple and natural way to remove pimples or any kind of problems on the face. If you have acidity problems or ulcers, just eat 2 small pieces of raw green banana with the peel a few times a day. So there are some Ayurveda medicines also, and these are very basic medicines that you can find in any health food.
That's called an ore.
So there is a medicine called Brahmi and Ashwagandha that you can have. Brahmi is useful for improving the brain health. Ashwagandha is helpful for overall physical health and strength. And Chyawanprash is a concoction made with several herbs. So any of these you can take before milk, before going to bed. Have milk a little warm. That would be helpful. If you don't drink milk, have it with warm water. It will reduce the stress and calm the mind as well. This one is massaging the feet with natural mustard, coconut, or sesame's oil before going to bed. This will relieve all the stress that you've accumulated through the day, and you will have a restful sleep. During the summer months, or if you are in the hot weather, you can add a little bit of water in the mustard oil so that it can dilute the oil, because mustard oil will make body a little warm. So during the cold temperatures, you can use mustard oil and you'll feel a little warm, and that will help you sleep. If you want to do a little more massage, you can massage lower back, ears, and head as well, and that will help you in sleeping. So, this is something that we don't really pay attention to, and it's a bedroom. The look and feel of the bedroom, the arrangement of things in the bedroom, the cleanliness of the bedroom, all that matters when you want to sleep. Consider bedroom as a sacred place. Make it minimal. Don't hang too many things. Don't put too much stuff in the bedroom. Avoid TV, smartphones, computers, devices, or any books. Some people have a habit of reading a book before going to sleep. That will also not calm your mind. It will actually carry whatever you have read into your sleep, and it could end up, you could end up with a disruptive sleep. Instead of that, take time to organize your bed, make it clean, make it like a ritual, a sacred ritual, and put some natural lavender, jasmine, rose fragrance. Monitor the temperature, the noise level, the humidity. Lighting should be very minimal, and then turn off the lights completely when you sleep. All that will help with the sleep. And wear loose cotton clothes. So this is one exercise. In the beginning of this talk, I talked about how to reduce the amount of sleep that we need. So if you are sleeping for 8 hours, you can convert that sleep into 4 hours and have the same effect on the body and the mind. In fact, it would be more rejuvenating, even if you were to sleep for 4 hours. And the technique to do this is called Bhramari Pranayam, and you can Google this, Bhramari, and there are a lot of videos about this technique. So by doing this pranayam or a breathing exercise 15 minutes every day, you can calm your mind and improve your nervous system health. The key here is the sound that you would generate in the pranayam. And that sound is like a bumblebee sound. If you were to write the word king, K-I-N-G, and you remove the alphabets K and I, so then you are left with N and G. So if you were to say NG, you'll say it like so that kind of sound. It's a bumblebee sound, nasal kind of sound. And then just with every exhale, chant that sound. So it would be, putting the fingers, putting the thumb inside on the earlobes and blocking the sound from outside, and putting the fingers on the eyes and saying with every exhale for 15 minutes. That will, this frequency of the bumblebee sound is similar to the frequency of our brain cells. So by synchronizing that, you would be able to calm your mind. And you can see for yourself, you can, you don't need a lot of sleep after trying this exercise. This is another exercise in yoga where you sleep in the corpse posture. You sleep straight, and during and then imagine there are a lot of visualization techniques that you can do, but basically think about all the tasks that you have had, that you have done, that are pending, problems that you have to solve for the next day. And then tell your mind that none of these are going to be carried into your sleep, because none of these will exist in the sleep. So you can't really do anything about them. You can't solve anything during sleep. So why should you carry them into sleep? And relax every part of your body gradually. It's like a body scan. So scan your body from toe all the way to the head, and then from head to the toe. And if you want, you can develop a sense of surrender to God if you believe in religion, or simply surrender to the unknown. And just say, I'm going to begin a joyful journey into a different state of consciousness. During the day, I had my journey into the wakeful state of mind. Now it's a different state of mind and consciousness. I'm going to explore that consciousness. Life is a journey, so just enjoy the journey even in sleep. So when you sleep, remind yourself that you're neither this body nor your mind. This is a very, very useful technique by constantly reminding yourself, because when we are sleeping, we are not aware of our body, we are not aware of our mind. So there, at that point of time, who we are is somebody else. So if we are not the body and the mind, then try to probe this particular idea a little more before you sleep. Meditate on who I am, what is my purpose of life, why do I exist? And you'll see that in the large scheme of things in this universe, we are just a tiny speck. We don't really matter. So if we don't really matter, why should we worry? Even if we are gone the next day, the earth will keep circling the sun. The moon will always, show up in the night. Our office will keep working. The family will anyway readjust. So nothing really stops in the world. The president will be the same. The name of a town will also be the same. So nothing really changes. Everybody will go about doing their business. So why should we worry that we are the center of the universe and we carry all the troubles of the world on our head? Why do we do that? Then there is a 5 identities exercise that's also useful, where you every day think about the 5 identities that you have. It could be your name, gender, who you are, how much money you earn, what if where you live, all these things that you define as your identity. And then ask yourself, are these identities going to be accompanying me in my dreams, in my sleep? And the answer will be no. If your identity is your Tesla car, it's not going to come with you in your dream, in your sleep. So if you are without your identity in your dreams and your sleep, why do you carry them? Why do you carry all your worries in your identity? Become completely identityless, and that will help you sleep better. So these are psychological exercises that will help you sleep better. Finally, there are 3 kinds of people in this world that I say. There are people who are unwell, sick, there are pleasure seekers, and there are yogis. And each of them have a role to play in the night. People who are unwell cannot sleep in the night. They are awake and they are in pain. People who are pleasure seekers seek pleasure during the night, whether it's through any physical means, or they are partying in the night, or they are awake just because they are enjoying the night. But then there is a 3rd kind of people that are yogis, who use night to their advantage to improve their body, their mind, and their spirit. And and I would urge everybody to explore this option. Become a yogi. Your day and night will be in your control. Your night will help you become better in the day, and what you do during the day will help you become better in the night. So sleep and food are causes of many illnesses, and there are exercises in yoga where you can control both sleep and hunger. And by doing that, you can make your life longer, you can live longer, you can be more healthy. And night is also the best time to meditate or memorize anything, because when there is no light, everything that you see is blurry, the outer world is hidden, so there are less distractions, and the mind can easily go inwards. So use night, especially the early morning before sunrise, to meditate. And final piece of advice I want to give to everybody is to smile more often from the heart. And even if you don't feel like smiling, force yourself to smile, so that after a while, smile becomes your habit. One natural smile releases 500 good chemicals in the body and exercises 152 muscles in the face and neck. Happy facial expressions lead to good dream sequences. And seeing an attractive smiling face activates our orbitofrontal cortex, and we feel rewarded. So when more people smile in this world, everybody evolves in the brain. And one grin wrongly exercises 180 muscles and releases poisonous chemicals in the brain. So genuinely smile, feel joy from the bottom of the heart, and have it reflected. When you're walking, running, just practice this smile. When you see somebody, just greet that person with a smile. The other person also will feel rewarded, and we make world a happy place. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Free Thinkers Institute and Brain Utkarsh. You can look them up and join them. And over to Garrett and Q&A.
Great. Thanks so much, Himanshu, for the talk. And Himanshu, I think you want to stay together as a group, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the first question that came up was, how about people who are night people?
Before answering the question, I want to acknowledge Krishnesh Mehta, who's also on this particular talk, and also Dr. Shweta. Both are TED speakers, so I feel fortunate for them to be here, and also request them to help answer these questions. Dr. Shweta is a neuroscientist from Oxford University and an accomplished doctor, and Dr. Krishnesh is a cognitive science professional, PhD. So please jump in as I am trying to answer the questions, because your approach would also help inform our viewers through different perspectives. So people who are night people can find ways and means to exercise our brain through these Brahmari pranayama, so that they can reduce their sleep their sleep quota, and they can augment lack of sleep through better food, better lifestyle during the day, and some exercises, brain exercises, like where there is more blood flow to the brain. But I'll request Dr. Krishnesh to also chime in, please. Dr. Krishnesh, I think you are on mute.
Hello, audible? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think you answered it well. I don't know what more people want to know.
Okay.
But if you see, so there are two kinds of people. They're called the owl people and the some morning people and night people. Now there's a confusion. A lot of people say that the night people are supposed to be more creative. Means people who keep awake at night. Now, there confusion. There are debates on both sides. Let's not get into that. But I think you covered mostly fine. The only thing is, for people who are night types, you just have to ensure that your biorhythm gets that way. So then there should not be any problem. So you can actually shift your biorhythms. Biorhythms are your sleep-wake cycles. I think Himanshu mentioned that, but your waking, so irrespective of what time you sleep, your waking time should be kept the same. That is most important. And if that is ensured, rest of the things would be ensured. And so suppose you've not had enough sleep, then what you can do is the next day, you wake up at the same time, but after bathing or after doing your morning, whatever things, you can take a sleep or a nap, or you can do this Brahmari or something like that. But don't, just because what we do is we sleep late, therefore we wake late. That is bad for health. Just that I wanted to add. Okay.
Garrett, any more questions? If you can keep.
There are more questions. Himanshu, if you're open to it, I'd love for you to post the presentation in the reference channel in Discord so that people have it for reference. We're also going to post the video onto the Freethinker Institute YouTube channel. We're going to start doing that going forward so that if someone misses one of our sessions, they can see, catch it on YouTube later on our YouTube channel. So just wanted to mention that. The next question is, would CBDs be considered stimulants?
Yes, they would be considered stimulants, and it does affect the brain negatively. It depends on how much you're taking, and there are some medicinal uses to it. Ayurveda has a lot of content on marijuana, but it all depends on whether you are addicted to it or you're taking it as a medicine for certain ailment.
Next question was, does warm water equal room temperature water? What do you mean by warm water, basically?
A lukewarm water is warm water. Not too hot, but not also at a room temperature, slightly warm, lukewarm.
Got it. And then does turmeric help with diagnosed medical issues like a torn meniscus? By the way, thanks, Dwight, for all the good questions.
Yes, turmeric has turmeric has the ability to heal the body. So anything that, even at a broken bone level or muscle tear, wound, turmeric helps a lot. Even, it helps people with arthritic conditions. So people with arthritis also can benefit from turmeric.
Great. And Dwight clarified he meant not THC, just the CBD component of marijuana. The CBD is, I think, the pain relieving component, if I'm right. I'm not super well versed, but just trying to be helpful.
Dr. Shweta, do you want to answer? Or Dr. Krishnesh, anybody? Because I'm more familiar with marijuana as a, as an Ayurveda medicine.
Yeah, I guess like CBD gets extracted from marijuana, and I think it's used for pain relief. And so, but it doesn't have like you don't get the high that you get from the THC.
Okay.
That's my understanding of it. Although I haven't used either one yet personally, but lots of friends.
Okay, hello. Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Krishnesh.
Yeah, my submission would be that if either THC or CBD, don't take, because your brain will stop releasing its own CBD and something similar to THC. So preferably not to take. And that is what you mentioned, nutmeg. Nutmeg will have those kind of chemicals that you're looking for. So nutmeg is also a kind of a stimulant. So, and it should be taken in small quantities. So if you take too much of nutmeg, it can have effects even worse than marijuana. So if you are not taking, please don't take. And if you are taking, stop. That's my, because both will have bad effects on the brain, irrespective of what.
Hi, Dr.
Dr.
Krishnesh and Dr. Himanshu. Yes, very interesting, Himanshu. I think what they might be meaning is medicinal uses of CBD. But however, as Dr. Krishnesh said, that it's so true that we have to make sure that there's always a tendency for us to get addicted to these substances. And then what happens is that the natural chemicals just don't flow. So it's a very, very slippery thing. So only under medical prescriptions, all these chemicals should be tried, and not really, off the counter or over the shelf kind of the things for sleep, especially. And I think turmeric, we had done a couple of experiments with turmeric, putting the normal organisms that we see on petri dishes and then comparing it with the antibiotics. And it was really surprising. And we have published a couple of these findings that almost all the organisms were cleared up in the petri dishes where only pure turmeric was laid, against the antibiotic where there was only 50% of clearance. So turmeric does have a very high antiseptic properties, and it can be explored for pretty much anything wherever there is sepsis or wound. So yeah, just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are any other questions, feel free to write them in the chat or go off mute and or raise your hand, whatever you prefer. About the night owl thing, I'll make a comment. I went to a lecture from a Cornell professor who taught sleep for about 40 years. I think he's actually the professor that taught the largest number of students. He taught our Psych 101 classes of 2,000 people for like, 35, 40 years. And one of the things he said was that adolescents actually have a later sleep cycle than, most people. And so I forget the exact times, but it was like, their natural sleep cycle is like going to sleep at 2 in the morning and waking up at 11 a.m., which obviously doesn't fit with daily life schedule of having to go to school. But I found it interesting that different ages, people may have different natural sleep cycles. Any other questions? I'll also say from personal experience, like I try to sleep enough every night that I can wake up naturally, so that I'm not waking up from an alarm, and I feel much more productive since I started doing that, which was quite a while ago. I don't know, Himanshu, Dr. Krishnesh, and Dr. Sweta, if you would agree with that, but that was what this sleep professor, was teaching as well. And so I started following his advice, and I found that I'm much more productive when I sleep enough that I wake up naturally rather than from an alarm.
Garrett, that's interesting. In the sleep, there are two cycles that we go through. That is, one is called non-REM, and the second one is called REM. So rapid eye movement and non-rapid eye movement. The non-rapid eye movement is like the quieter sleep, and the REM is the one where we see the dreams and all. But our eyes only move, we don't move. Just imagine, otherwise we would be starting to enact our dreams. It would have been terrible if this arrangement was not made. So essentially, which cycle you get up is what decides our freshness. And that's why I think it is very important and prudent to wake up at the exact same time so that the body knows that you have to wake up out of a non-REM. This is very, very important. So the number of the hours can be adjusted by the body cyclically. It runs in the cycle of 1.5 hours each. So it's very important for the body. That rhythm is most important. And that's why these youngsters and all who sort of sleep late and then try to wake up late and all, this whole cycle is completely disturbed. And the chemicals that we need, for example, steroids, which is very important in the morning, that doesn't get released. And so there's no freshness at all, or melatonin is not released in the night, so you don't fall off to sleep, and which is not right neurochemically.
Right. Yeah, actually, Dr. Mass, the way he described it is that your body sort of adjusts its sleep cycle to how much you get to sleep every night. So I sleep about 8 hours a night. So like if I wake up after 6 hours, I'm extremely tired because I'm waking up in the middle of the sleep cycle, because it's like you're divided up into 2 sleep cycles for the night. So I have 2 4-hour sleep cycles. If I was sleeping 6 hours a night, I have 2 3-hour sleep cycles. And so the worst thing you can do is wake up in the middle of the sleep cycle. The other thing he said that was useful was like, if you're going to take a nap for like 20 or 30 minutes, but not more than that, because otherwise you end up halfway through the sleep cycle again, and then you're actually more tired when you wake up. And I found that to be super true. Like if I'm really tired during the day, then I can take a 20 to 30 minute nap, and then I'm refreshed and I'm ready to finish the day. But if I sleep for an hour, I'm actually more tired than if I slept for 20 or 30 minutes. And it takes more time. So, and I see you nodding, so it sounds like you agree with Dr. Moss. This isn't my advice. This is from the guy whose sleep lecture I attended, and I put my notes from that lecture in the reference channel as well, where I suggested you put your slides, Himanshu.
Sure.
Can I add something? So
yeah, please.
So I mean, I'm going to say something controversial now. So And the controversial thing is that a lot of research says that we need 6 to 8 hours of sleep, which is technically not right. What you need technically is the NREM portion of the sleep, which is very important. So suppose, for example, so if suppose a sleep, so you have about 6 episodes of say one and a half. NREM is about 2 hours and the rest of them are about 90 minutes. So you count about 6 to 8 hours. So if you find out when your NREM happens, and you should ensure that you're sleeping during your NREM. Then no matter how long or how short you sleep, if you slept during your NREM, you would generally be fresh the next morning. And typically, now this is average adult timings, but it can change, and because your rhythms can be different, your circadian rhythms can be different, but you can use the sleep analyzers, which you have on mobiles, to find out when your NREM happens. But typically for males, it happens between 11 to 2, and for females between 4 to 6 in the morning. So if you just sleep those 2 hours, NREM hours, you would feel fresh. Then even if, and suppose you slept 8 hours but not sleeping for the NREM time, you would not feel fresh no matter you slept 14 hours, 16 hours or whatever. So sleeping for NREM is very important. Okay, that is one very important.
There was another question from Dwight who said that his problem is that he's a night owl and his brain is racing at night and he has to wake up at 4:30 in the morning. So he's got to use an alarm. I guess I would say like the techniques that Himanshu taught, and then if you read the notes that I sent in the reference channel, there are a bunch of techniques you can use to sleep that I think if you find you shut off all electronic devices and, you know, do the things that Himanshu talked about and in my notes, Dwight, that you probably will be able to get to sleep earlier, because if you're sleeping late at night and you're waking up at 4:30 in the morning, you're probably pretty sleep deprived. And another interesting fact that I learned about, and now maybe if you don't feel tired, Dr. Krishnesh's point is maybe you don't need all that sleep. And if you don't feel tired, then great, you're succeeding where I failed, because I've tried to sleep less, and even though I was sleeping in those hours, like it didn't work for me, and so I've adjusted accordingly. You know, I think everyone has to find, okay, he feels tired. So if you're feeling tired, then I think if you shut down all electronic devices, you know, I basically at night I shut down like all social media, all electronic devices an hour before I'm going to go to sleep. Not totally electronic devices, because I basically write philosophy before I go to sleep, and that's my way of going to sleep, of sort of toning myself down. If you create a nighttime ritual, what I used to do is read books before sleep, and that would, you know, put me out really well. So I would suggest creating a nighttime ritual, Dwight. That's just my 2 cents, but I'm curious if any of the more credentialed people have suggestions in addition to that. Or Himanshu.
Yeah, I think you know, if you can meditate and increase your willpower, your body will tell you when to wake up. So you will not miss your train, you know, if you have to wake up early and, you know, get ready and go to work. So you know, just meditate and, you know, use the breathing exercises to improve your willpower. The other small tip I'll add to this is, you know, a lot of us travel and we work in different time zones, you know, so, you know, this morning I may be in US and tomorrow I may be in London. Now, you know, my time zone has changed. So if you could do those exercises that I illustrated in my talk, where you allow more blood flow towards the brain, so your melatonin will be secreted at the right time. And what you can do is, when you go to another country or time zone, just, you know, if you are in a hotel, just switch off the light in the hotel and lie on the bed with on your stomach, and basically put your face a little lower than the level of your body, so that there is more blood flow in the brain. If you have eaten anything, or if your stomach is heavy, then you don't want to do exercises. But if your stomach is light and you want to do exercises, you can do any of those yoga exercises that allow for more blood flow to the brain, and then just lie down. So your pineal gland will be activated, and the effects of jet lag will be minimal.
I can add to what Dwight was asking. So especially if he wants to wake up at 4:30, you can try this thing. It should work. While you're falling asleep, no matter how late, do Brahmari while sleeping. You can lie down and do it. And after that, or before starting the Brahmari, what you do is, on the pillow, just bang, not very heavily, just lightly bang your head 3 times and say that I'll get up at 4:30 or something, whatever time that you want to get up. And then start the Brahmari and then go to sleep. This banging is important 3 times. Okay. Try this out, should work. Then you will get up without an alarm. Don't believe me, but try this out.
ST, if we didn't answer your question along the way, you said it sounds like some days you feel tired, some days you don't. I would say, like, to Dr. Krishnesh's point, some people, I think him included, can get away with a lot less sleep. And I also learned from this this PhD that some people have a gene that allows them to sleep like 5 hours a night and be well rested. And so if you're one of the people that's lucky enough to have that gene, then cool, like, or if the techniques that Himanshu and Dr. Krishnesh work to help you sleep 4 or 5 hours a night and feel well rested, that's great. If not, then I would suggest the techniques that Himanshu mentioned, and also, like, the ones that are in my notes about trying to get to sleep earlier so that you wake up more naturally after a long time. The other interesting factoid that Dr. Moss taught is that they did a study of people who slept 6 hours a night that needed 8 hours of sleep. And what they found is after, I forget what it was, I think it was like 6 weeks of sleeping 6 hours a night instead of 8 hours a night, their motor skills were impaired so much that they were the equivalent of being drunk, which I found fascinating, that sleep deprivation has that big of an effect, that it's equivalent of being drunk. So for people, like, if you feel well rested, then great, like, I think that's awesome. And although another thing that I supposedly learned is that we have the same number of waking hours in our lifetimes, and I'm curious whether Dr. Krishnesh and Dr. Sweta can confirm that, because that seemed like a really strange conclusion to come to. But someone that I went to a lecture for said that we have the same number of waking hours, so regardless of whether we sleep more or less, we don't, like, if we sleep more, basically we live longer, essentially, was what they were trying to argue. I don't know if there's any basis in fact of that. They were, again, like a PhD and stuff, but like, I'm curious whether that's contested territory. It sounded controversial to me as well.
That's interesting, though, but I have no idea. Dr. Krishnesh?
No, see, there's a lot of research which says that you need to have sufficient sleep, which can be anywhere from 4 to 8 hours, depending on your age, depending on your body types and all that. So 4 to 6. Any more, 4 to 8, sorry. Any more than 8 hours is not going to help your body anymore. Okay, provided that NREM falls under that 4 to 8 hours. So more sleep is not going to make you live longer. In fact, it's going to harm your body after a point, if you sleep longer than what you should. So any day more than 8 hours is a big no-no, according to the science that I know. Okay, that is first thing. Second thing is that the quality of sleep is more important than the quantity. Okay, and most of us don't know the quality part of sleeping. So how we sleep is also very important. So the body postures and all that is important. And also See what happens. I don't know if Himanshu covered that because I was not able to join earlier. At different times during the night, our body, different parts of the body get relaxed. So for example, early in the night is the liver and all that. So different parts, then different muscles, and the blood is new blood is formed, and so entirely during that 6 to 8 hours or 4 to 8 hours, those processes happen, which are needed for you to feel rejuvenated. So it's basically a kind of rejuvenation that happens. But if you know a good process of sleeping, so there is something called Yoga Nidra. If you know a good process of sleeping, then you can make this happen within 1 hour. Okay, and then you don't need more sleep. I've been told of a doctor who is a neurosurgeon in US who sleeps only 1 hour and he operates all night, all day. Now you can imagine that somebody who's doing neurosurgery would require that much of attention and all that. But this person is not devoid of it. So while there is a lot of research on sleep and everything focusing on having a sleep of at least 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours, I think there are some versions or some people who are finding that you need not need so much of sleep. And if you look at the ancient yogic systems and all that, they also don't talk of so much of sleep. So you need to sleep, but if you know better how to sleep better, so quality is more important than quantity. Now, just because you sleep 6 to 8 hours doesn't mean that you are going to get fresh and so on and so forth. So as I told you, that NREM part is one part of the quality, and the other is how well you relax your body. So the posture becomes very important. And if you do that scanning, which Himanshu was talking of, like you lie down and you scan your body and relax each part and all that, progressive relaxation or something like that, that kind of thing would help in reducing your sleep. So it is important that you give the relaxation to each and every organ rather than number of hours. So quality, again, I'll stress, is more important than quantity.
Yeah, along the lines of quality being more important than quantity, another thing that Dr. Moss talked about that is relevant to what ST mentioned is that ST said they don't have a consistent sleep schedule. Dr. Moss said that it's a good idea to go to sleep at the same time and wake up at the same time every day. I found that was really helpful for me. Like if I don't do that, then I end up, waking up at the same time, like Dr. Krishnesh said, but sometimes with less sleep, because if I go to sleep late, I end up sleeping 6 hours and then I'm tired the whole day. And so I try to get to sleep at the same time and wake up at the same time every day of the week, which puts a little damper on the, certain things. But I find for healthy sleep, it's been, I've been more productive by doing that.
Some of our patients, we do provide something called audio visual entrainment. There are some devices, I mean, we tell them to do all these Brahmari and the techniques, but somehow they just want something fun and exciting, and that's when we prescribe devices like David. There's something called David audio visual entrainment, AVE. Essentially what it is doing is there is a beats, binaural beats in the ear, as well as some flashing lights, which is through the goggles, but potentially it is doing exactly the same thing what Himanshu mentioned is the Brahmari. So it's interesting. The same effect comes in. Although it would be good to do the study parallelly, Dr. Krishnesh, to see what is happening in the brain.
I've used that device, David Paradise. It's a good thing, no doubt. But what I found is that what you get in 5 minutes or 10 minutes of Brahmari, you need about 45 minutes from that device. So that is the difference I found.
Getting the exact same outcome from either of it.
Yes. I mean, it's no doubt a wonderful device for people who can't do Brahmari and all that. But my suggestion would be that you don't need to do Brahmari. You can just record it and play recording of Brahmari. That is also good enough. That will work better because it will be your own voice, and that would work better. So that is something you can experiment with. Another very important thing what Garrett mentioned, that see, we should understand one thing, which our body is very intelligent, okay? And it is very adaptable also. So many a times this not having enough sleep is a placebo, okay? Or a nocebo, whichever you want to call it. I have not had enough sleep, therefore I should feel tired. Technically, what science has found is that our bodies are capable of working, I'm talking of flesh, so body is capable of working 7 nights and days continuously without tiring. So tiring is a mental state and mostly induced by this mental thought process that I did not sleep, therefore I feel tired. I did not do this, so it's kind of nocebo effect, if you want to call it. So the more you get into that trap, the more your body would start adjusting to that. My experience has been that you should experiment with your sleeping so that you become flexible in sleeping. Having a fixed timing is a good thing, but in today's world that might be a problem. So then when you need that flexible timing, you'll feel tired and all that. So better is so as I told you, find out your NREM hours and just try to keep sleeping that time. Rest of it, try to be flexible, because then only your body will get adjusted and your body will become flexible. If you train your body that way, our body is so flexible that it will train itself. And there's a lot of research. I think 2-3 years back there was a Nobel Prize also on circadian rhythms. So I would advise that you read a little bit more about circadian rhythms, and then you find out your own circadian rhythms and follow those patterns. That would help. Becoming Otherwise, I would say, and what yoga says also, is that you become a slave to sleep. The whole idea of yoga is not to become slave to anything, including sleep. So right now, what I see, a lot of Western scientific so-called sleep researchers trying to make us slaves of sleep, which is something that I would question. Anyone can have a comment on that, but
Yeah, and and Dr. Shweta and Krishnesh, if you have any opinion on the sleep medication, some people take pills. I do know it does, have side effects. And what are the effects on the brain? And when somebody has sleep problems, what do if you can throw some light on the side effects of these kind of pills, sleeping pills?
Dr. Shweta, you can go.
Yeah, sure. I think again, the important thing about these medications, which are sleep inducers, so there are many actually variety of medications which we can use. But if we talk of simple sleep inducing agents, what they do is they break this cycle and convert the whole sleep into non-REM, which is not desirable actually, because you really have to have some cyclical pattern. So, or sometimes even simply REM, and that is the reason why they are not prescribed beyond 2 to 3 weeks, and one has to limit it, otherwise over a period of time you're actually damaging the sleep circadian much more. And secondly, you get adapted, your body just gets used to it. There is the dosage of which also you have to keep on increasing. So all in all, it's a big trap. So we try and avoid it as far as possible, unless it is some adjustment related insomnia, somebody has died in the family or something shocking has happened. That's very different. For a few days, that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as possible, avoid any external use. I mean, unless of course under medical advice. But you can use this natural. So one is also playing soft music. So there are nowadays what are called sleep musics available, which also go into binaural, but there are also some very soothing music also. So you can play that music and listen, or record your Brahmari and or Om or Brahmari and all that. These would be better sleep inducers than. See, one of the reasons why people who have sleep issues are most likely because they ruminate a lot. They keep their brains very active. So it would be nice to reduce that activity. So especially if you are that kind of a person, you should not read a novel or something or anything that's going to make you think a lot more and so on and so forth. So best thing would be slowly induce sleep pattern. So you take music or use any of these things. My advice would be to even not, I mean, you can use music and all that, but again, it becomes a dependency. So the best thing is that try to ensure that your mind is free of thoughts of the unwanted kind or too many thoughts and so on. So that would normally, so what you can do is do something which is boring. So for example, if you if you think reading is boring for you, start reading. So what will happen is while you are holding the book, you'll fall asleep. So doing something that is boring would tend to induce sleep better than anything else. That's my theory.
I will say I've had good luck when traveling internationally with melatonin. Like when I used to travel to Shanghai on a regular basis for work, it's a 12-hour shift in time zone. So I would like take melatonin to sleep on an overnight plane trip, to sleep a little bit early, and it would be a good temporary solution. But I think everything I've heard is exactly consistent with what you said, which is don't use it in a long-term scenario, but short term it can be helpful. Mike, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
One of the things that I bought one of those fitness watches that supposedly monitors your sleep and then prints out a record. What I notice is that the first 2 hours of sleep, uh, I may go into deep sleep, I may go into REM sleep, but it also monitors a couple of other things that seem to not occur until much later. And maybe even if I stay up late, it really occurs at like 5 to 7 o'clock in the morning when I wake up. But 5 to 7 o'clock in the morning, I notice that my heart rate goes way down below my resting heart rate, and my body temperature changes by as much as 2 degrees. That, as recorded by the inaccuracies of that monitor, because it only monitors my left wrist rather than like in a sleep study, they might put on 30 different probes on you to monitor all kinds of things. Um, do you um, um, do you have any comments as to whether how you can detect what does REM sleep mean in terms of just what you can see from your wrist, and whether lowering the heart rate or lowering the body temperature has some indication or some bearing on how you sleep? And I don't lower the temperature of the room, just the body temperature uh, as recorded goes down. Any medical or meditational comments, because maybe the good sleep occurs way past what I was thinking at bedtime. Thank you. I'm interested in any comments.
Dr. Shweta, you want to comment?
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Thank you for that question. Essentially, all these recorders, they have different kinds of input modes. So for example, accelerometer to know if you're moving or not, then from the breath that you are taking, the snoring, the movement, etc. But these are not very sensitive. So they just give an estimation. It's an approximation of the things things that are happening. So getting a pure quality sort of a record from a single lead, as you rightly mentioned, in a typical polysomnograph, we would need so many channels. We would need something on the leg, something on the chest, the breathing, EEG, so many things are happening simultaneously. So it's not that easy to sort of decipher what's happening from that. But I think your other question is in the morning, early morning hours, your pulse rate is low and then your blood pressure is low. That is often always the case, because that is the time when the maximum amount of cortisol, etc., is released, and that's what is a normal phenomena, and that can happen to anybody. In fact, if that does not happen, and consistently if you have high blood pressure or a high heart rate, that's something to be worried about. And if you notice, or if you have gone through a lot of literature which suggests that most heart attacks or most strokes, so to speak, also happen in the very early wee hours, which is even before this changes or autonomic, what we call, has happened. So a lot of things are happening in the sleep. I think very important for us is not to depend or rely on just one sort of a signal which it is giving, but more on the freshness, more on how the body is feeling, more in terms of your mental capabilities or cognitive abilities once you get up. At least I would rather depend on that than any of the single recording. Dr. Krishnesh?
I think you covered it all. I don't need to.
I might add one more thing. How I feel when I get up is influenced by when I download what came off my watch, and I see that picture of what they score as good sleep versus fair sleep versus poor sleep. Just while looking at that answer makes me feel rested or not rested, and I wonder which came first, the chicken or the egg in that case, which is the mind is a very complicated story. So thank you.
True, true, true. Wow, that is the exactly placebo nocebo thing that we were just discussing. If you give a command to your mind that you indeed rested, that's what it feels. So your watch is now playing the role of a placebo in that case.
I would advise not to use so many devices also, because that also creates another kind of problem.
So I think, Garrett, we could wrap the session if you want to.
Great. Well, hopefully, I hope everyone normally I like to wrap up with like, what did people take away from this? But I feel like, in terms of, how they can apply it to their daily life. But I feel like everything that we talked about was very much about how we can apply it to our daily life. So we probably don't need to do that today. But just want to thank Himanshu, Dr. Krishnesh, Dr. Shweta for all your expertise, and Himanshu for speaking. And I'd like to thank everybody for attending and for your great questions and attention. And I'd love to encourage everyone to come to the online community to stay in touch throughout the week, and to come next week. I'm going to be giving a talk about how to achieve your life's goals in a state of flow. And it's a lot of what I've learned from both personal experience, as well as testing my methods, as well as reading, over a couple dozen books on productivity, leadership, etc. I read book summaries. It's a little more efficient, but I've read a lot on the subject, and basically improved on what I read. And next week I'll teach sort of what I've learned, and see if it might be useful to you all. I did meet someone recently. I told them one piece of, we were talking about something tangentially related, and I told him one piece of the advice that I'm going to teach next week. And he goes, "Do you know how much money I recently paid a coach to walk me through that same thing?" So for what it's worth, you're getting advice that apparently people are charging a lot of money for. And we're doing it free here with the Freethinker Institute. And so we're just trying to be helpful to people and spread good ideas. So thanks again, everyone, for your attention. Hope to see you all next week. Feel free to invite friends. And I haven't decided if next week is going to be a hybrid, like potentially in person. I may try to pull that off. We'll see. So thanks a lot, everybody. And I will hope you all have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen.
Bye.